I grew up in southern Pennsylvania, not far from Gettysburg. When I was 8 years old, my parents decided to build a house on vacant property, surrounded by fields, and it was beautiful. I lived with both of my parents and my two older brothers who were 15 and 17 at the time. Though I grew up in the area, we only stayed in this house for 4 years. My first night there was not what I expected it to be. I was lying in my bed and just had closed my eyes. Then I hear a voice that sounded like a soft whisper, about 6 inches from my face, say, "Help." Over and over, just repeating the same word until I fell asleep. Help. 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 I tried my best to forget about it because I thought there was no way the house could be haunted. It was brand new. About a month goes by and I'm sitting on my bed, doing what I used to love doing most, which was reading. I glanced up and looked at my doorway because I saw something out of the corner of my eye. At that moment, I had officially seen a full-body apparition of what appeared to be a soldier from the 1800s. But he didn't see me. He was just walking by my room very slowly. I still remember every detail of his appearance 20 years later. He was covered in blood and looked like he had been shot or stabbed. This lasted for about 5 seconds. Still being creeped out, my curiosity got the best of me and I walked out of the room and searched all over the house, but found nothing unusual. About a week or two goes by and I'm in my bed trying to fall asleep, yet again, only to be disturbed before I even had the chance to close my eyes by this voice that was very deep and masculine. I couldn't understand a word it was saying to me because it was speaking in a different language. It sounded annoyed and angry. It happened every night at the exact same time for 2 weeks before it suddenly stopped. After that, I had a night terror. I am absolutely terrified of spiders. I had woken up in the middle of the night. I could see what looked like a tarantula crawling on me in my bed. I swear it was there. I definitely saw it. I was panicking. My dad came into the room to check on me, found out everything was okay. Before I could fall asleep, I heard what sounded like 2 men laughing right next to my bed. At this point, I was getting used to fucked up shit happening. One summer, I stayed up late every night so I could watch Hannah Montana at midnight. One night, when the clock struck midnight, I heard my back door downstairs open. Then I would hear a woman say my name as if she was calling for me. I'd hear the door shut, followed by footsteps. Then there would be silence. It happened every night for almost 2 months. It never failed. It didn't even bother me at that point. I knew it wasn't my mother because she worked 12-hour night shifts at the hospital almost every night. There were no other females around, but one night it stopped altogether. I was up at midnight and nobody had called my name. I went to sleep and everything felt peaceful. I woke up to the sound of someone knocking on my bedroom door. I looked at the clock on my cable box. It was 3 a.m. I assumed it was one of my brothers and told him to go away. But then the doorknob started turning, but it wouldn't open because the door was locked. I've always slept with my bedroom door open. Always, and I definitely wasn't the one who locked it. The knocking and doorknob rattling went on for what felt like forever, and then it stopped. A few minutes later, I hear what sounds like scratching at the door. I think to myself, what the fuck, is it my cat? But then the knocking, scratching, and turning off the handle started happening at the same exact time. No way in hell my cat would do all 3 at once, let alone the knocking and turning my doorknob. It would happen for about 30 seconds, then it would stop. It happened at least 5 times. Sometimes the knocking would be so hard, it sounded like pounding and my whole door was shaking. Whatever was on the other side of that door really wanted to come in. It got so bad it woke my dad up. He heard all the commotion, and as soon as he opened his bedroom door, It all stopped instantly. He called out to me, but I was too afraid to say anything. He went back in his room and closed the door, but the same scenario repeated itself 3 more times. My dad made me sleep in his room, and we never spoke about it ever. Things seemed fine for a while. Then, whatever was in my house struck again. My brother had gotten up to go to the bathroom. He turned the hallway light on and noticed my bedroom door was closed, as it was across the hall from the bathroom. He comes out of the bathroom and the hallway light is off and my bedroom door was wide open. He looked inside my room and saw me still sleeping. Everyone else in the house was sleeping. He woke my dad and my brother and told them what had happened, and they searched the house for a possible intruder, but found nothing. More months go by and we're all awoken by our smoke detector going off in the middle of the night. We all go downstairs in a panic just to find out that our stove was on. Full blast. Big ass flame on top of the stove. In the middle of the night. One day it was just my father and I. My mom was at work as usual. My oldest brother was at work and my other brother was at baseball practice. I'm downstairs, but I hear what sounded like somebody running upstairs. Forgetting that both of my brothers aren't home. I go upstairs and see someone run into my brother's room and slam the door. It was loud. I thought for sure it was my brother, and I wanted to go in there and see what he was up to, and why he would be running around like that. I opened the door and nobody was there. I watched the door close right in front of me. I felt sick to my stomach just standing there, realizing that the only other person that was home with me was my father, who was in the shower. I continued to see weird shit all of the time. One day in the middle of the day, I saw my German Shepherd run upstairs full blast, as if she was chasing something, but I didn't see what she was chasing. Whatever it was that was under the bed, she was viciously growling at it. I thought it was my cat until I saw him sitting on top of the bed, who appeared to be sleeping until we bursted in. One night, my cousin was spending the night. We were walking through the living room when she saw the reflection of another person on the glass of our big bookcase. Another time, we were in my backyard, and she told me she saw someone looking at us through the window on a few occasions, and it definitely wasn't anybody we knew. My brother almost never had friends over, so that was not a possibility. I remember one day I was walking down the basement stairs. When I got to the bottom of the stairs, I saw what looked like another apparition. Except the apparition looked exactly like my oldest brother, but it also didn't look human. It was almost white and blue, and his eyes were just pure black. When he saw me, his eyes got really big, and he looked terrified and ran away and went into the crawl space. I ran my ass upstairs to find out my brother wasn't even home. I never went back down there after that. A few months later, I was with the same brother and we were in the living room watching George Lopez late at night. I'm into the show, but he muted the TV. He looked at me and said, "Did you hear that?" I told him no, I didn't hear anything. We sat still for a minute, and then I heard it. Together, we both heard footsteps coming up the basement stairs. My brother grabbed a baseball bat and we went to the basement to investigate, but to no avail. The rest of our family was sleeping upstairs. The next night, my mom was up late, sitting at the dining room table doing whatever it was she was doing. At around 3 a.m, the shelf in the dining room wall flew off the wall and put a hole in the wall that was adjacent to it. We looked at the nails in the wall that held up the shelf, and they were still perfectly straight. We moved out of that house when I was 12. I still experienced paranormal things, but not anything that comes close to what we dealt with in that house. I believe there were a lot of spirits there, and I'd love to know about what happened there previously to cause so much activity. We were a regular church-going family, so I'm sure if there was anything demonic there, that would just piss it off even more. What do you think it could have been? Ghosts? Demons? Poltergeists? All of the above? Just to set the record straight, this is 10,000% real, and none of this is a joke or an exaggeration of any kind. My boyfriend, 30, and me, 26, are really scared. We're moving in a few days and afraid we'll be followed by whatever is causing our problems. I moved in with my boyfriend almost a year ago, and a few months ago, the terrible, horrible nightmares and night terror started. We have a dog, his before we met. We'll call him Fido. And not only has the dog had increased sleep disturbances, but also both of us have experienced increasingly disturbing nightmares related to spirits and demons, and sleep paralysis episodes, and what we call reawakening episodes, that neither of us have ever experienced before we started living together. Sometimes we even have the same exact nightmares. It all started out slow, and now it has evolved into almost every single night. And now I can't fall asleep anymore because I'm so terrified of having one of my profound nightmares. I work night shift and almost always now look forward to the nights I work away from home, so I don't have to sleep in the dark. My most common nightmare is me walking from a normal dream in our bedroom, my boyfriend sleeping next to me, and our dog sleeping in our bed. Everything looks exactly like it does in the real world. So much that I don't even know if it's a dream or if it's real. Then I'll close my eyes to go back to sleep. And as soon as I close my eyes, I won't have control of my body anymore. I can't even open my eyes. The fight of my life to move begins. I feel like something is constricting me and shaking me violently, and I hear a loud ringing noise while I can no longer move. I try my absolute hardest, literally with all my strength to move, to no avail. Finally, I try to scream as loud as I can, and the absolute most I can muster up is a tiny little whine or a moan that my boyfriend hears, and then I end up waking up again in our bedroom, as if I either wasn't asleep at all and finally got my eyes open, or I woke up from like an Inception-styled nightmare. The nightmare my boyfriend typically has, also a nightmare I have had a few times, is either someone breaking into our home. Again, everything in the house looks exactly as it does in reality, and the person or thing moves quickly through the house until it reaches the bedroom, where one of us shoots it, or them, through the door with our gun. Another nightmare he has is him walking down the hallway outside of our bedroom, and there's a shadowy figure that rushes across the doorways in the hall, and then he wakes up screaming very loudly as soon as it grabs him. A real blood-curdling scream. If anyone has any information on what this all might mean, or what they think this means, it's all welcomed. We have had waking experiences together and individually in the house that make us feel uncomfortable, like footstepping noises or things breaking spontaneously. I'm not sure if this is the right place to post it, but any help would be greatly appreciated. Edit. I got so caught up in some details that I completely forgot to mention that a few nights my boyfriend has woken me up. He'd be sitting up at a 90-degree angle in the bed, him looking at and pointing at our bedroom door and saying, "Who's that man? Who was that?" I never actually see anyone or anything though, and he will lay back down and be asleep. He never claims to remember this. He usually wakes me up every night, either laughing, sitting straight up in bed muttering something under his breath, or sometimes he'll wake up whining in his sleep. I am also told by him that I hit him in the face with my hands or elbows every night, and I've lived with a few exes in the past and have never harmed anyone while I was asleep, ever. We are at a loss and literally will try anything. I'm a hard skeptic, but I always trust other people's experiences. So basically, when my coworkers tell me there's a ghost at our workplace, I smile and nod and affirm their experiences. But I don't strictly believe there is an irrational explanation for their various stories. I'll include a couple below, because what happened tonight was pretty tame compared to theirs. Anyway, due to a decade of no one ever being willing to close alone due to events that happened there, we always close in pairs. It's a big 2-story boutique, but the upstairs is just our offices. Go figure that I, as the IT guy, have the quote-unquote web office, aka the place where most of the worst shit happens. So anyway, most of the things people have experienced have pretty easy explanations with a few pocket cases. Like if boxes move between a closing shift and a mid-shift, it was probably the opener, right? Maybe they forgot. If the person worked at Clopen, I get that being suspicious, but again, I just assumed there was some missing element that made it make sense. Ugh, I'm so freaked out right now, so I'm rambling so bad, I'm sorry. Anyway, tonight, I was working on the retail floor closing with a coworker, which I do sometimes for extra money. So we've pretty much finished all of our respective tasks. She and I both do pretty thorough closes since it's the only shift we do. It's about 11:30 at night and she and I are shooting the shit while she finishes her last task, taking money back downstairs. I followed her down for the company. We get downstairs to the mostly dark retail floor and there's a big room. Like someone just jumped loudly in one of the locked offices upstairs. We look at each other in silence, then go to the cameras. I'm trying to explain that while she was off the floor, the only person in the retail floor except me was her boyfriend, and I made him leave at closing. I'm 100% sure no one else was inside, as I had to check all the rooms as part of my closing duties. We build tasks into each other for redundancy, so I have to check the bathroom to clean it, and I have to check the fitting rooms to take out the trash, etc. So, I know there's no one in there. She's silent still, and staring at the cameras. Nothing is moving. Nothing has fallen off the shelves. No one is upstairs. All the office doors are still closed. She says, "I just want to see if I can see it." I got goosebumps. The ghost? I ask. Before she can answer, it happens again. She says she wishes her boyfriend was there to check it out. Well, I'm a big, strong, brave, skeptical man who knows there's no one there. So I go to check. She turns the light back on for me, and I walk the whole floor and check the rooms while she watches. Nothing is even weird, except some products are in the wrong places that we missed. So I fix them. Finally, we decide to go upstairs to turn off the last computer that we closed with and submit her paperwork. When we get up the stairs, my office door is open. At this point, I'm feeling very uncomfortable when one of the floorboards in the hall to my right squeaks loudly. Definitely not a boom, just like someone was walking too heavily on them. Now I'm convinced someone is still in the store and I missed them. I storm down the hall and turn on all the lights and start opening offices. No one. Nothing. So I close the doors behind me as I go through all the offices, and I get to the stockroom right behind where the squeak was from. Obviously, it's a stockroom, so I don't have the key, but it's the only place that has floorboards from the hall running to it. So I ask her to unlock it, and I notice she's very frightened. She says, "I don't want to." I say, "If you unlock it, I'll check it, and you can wait here." She agrees. I step inside and turn on the light to find absolutely nothing out of place at all. I step inside and, lo and behold, there's the squeaky board just inside the door. So by now, I already am giving more credence to the stories of the boxes in that room moving, and I for sure am not fucking with the stories about my goddamn office, so I close and lock it without stepping inside. Now, for why the heck I would never set foot in my office after close if you fucking bribed me after that night. The stories about that office are way, way scarier. The rest of the building has stories like, oh, boxes move, oh, sometimes stuff falls off the hangers at night, etc. But that office has straight up demonic stories. Looming shadows that move on their own. Booming, unearthly growls that fill the entire upstairs, but come from there. Stuff like that. The two I heard first. One night, one of my coworkers was apparently finishing up his clothes, which includes taking the trash out of my office. In the next room, his girlfriend was completing the cash close, on that last computer I mentioned, which is in the upstairs lobby. While he was in there alone, he heard the booming, unearthly growl and apparently left the room immediately, dropping the trash bag and leaving the lights on. She was staring at him wide-eyed. Apparently she heard it very clearly too. I heard the story from each of them at different times. So one night I was closing with another girl, and she said it was spooky in there that night. Amused, I asked if she'd heard their stories, and told a brief summary of them. She went so pale, stopped what she was doing, and stared at me in horror. Have I told you that story? Apparently neither of them had mentioned to her what they'd experienced, and she had experienced the same while closing with her girlfriend one night. Her girlfriend uses my office to process some things, and at some point in the day, she had gone to pester her girlfriend and left her jacket in there. And she was sleepy by the time she finished closing, so she whined at her girlfriend to go get her jacket for her. Her girlfriend saw a weird shadow that moved across the wall, so she flicked on the lights, and the growl happened to her. My coworker heard it from the bottom of the stairs, where she was waiting. Needless to say, she got the jacket in the morning. So yeah, I had just excused those as maybe there was an animal in the ceiling, but we don't have gaps in the ceiling. It's just the ceiling, insulation, roof. I know because I work closely with our electrician, who has some stories of his own about the place, but none that I remember well enough to recount. And he has to run all the wiring through the 2-inch gap between the walls. This building is almost as old as white settlement in the region, and was originally built as a small factory, later served a brief stint as an under-the-table brothel. They installed the walls upstairs. Also, I know what a trope that is. I take that with a grain of salt. Then a bar, and then came to be owned by the guy who owns it now, where he runs this boutique. He tore down some walls downstairs and built an upstairs bathroom. I have no idea how a bar could operate in this building with so little space between the walls and floors for piping, but so goes the stories. I just want this to make sense. I've never heard someone in a place where I know no one is. And I know to y'all, this is probably so old, but I literally did not believe in ghosts until tonight. I'm actually pretty eager to go back to not believing in them, if I'm honest. Thanks guys for watching the video, and I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for all the likes and comments on the videos. It really means a lot to me. I'm planning on posting about 100 or more videos this year, and I plan to keep a very active pace going forward. So if you haven't hit that subscribe button or the notification bell, make sure to do so to get updates on my newest videos. Also, if you have a unique scary story or a true paranormal experience, feel free to email me at drhaunts@gmail.com. I would love to read your story and give you credit however you wish.